I don't usually do sales pitch videos, but I've been wanting to get a Starbucks hand grinder for a while now, and they're selling it for about $50, I think. And I felt like there'd be some sort of a cheaper alternative to that, and this is what I found. Okay, it's at the grocery store today. It's a handy little device. OXO is the company that makes this. It's a nut chopper. It's got a little spoon that locks in there on the side. It's got a cap so that you can store chopped food, right? So, cap. The chopper has a nice feature where it spins as each cut it spins, and this blade on the side stirs down inside the cup. So what I figured was that this kind of a chopper would give me the result I was looking for in coffee beans. So what I want is a coffee bean that's chopped enough to steep well, but won't fit through my French press grid. So it turns out that works good. I already tested it, but so one of the side things about this, it's pretty neat. I didn't realize it until I read the instructions. This bottom comes off so that you can use the chopper on a cutting board instead of inside the bowl. So your chopper comes right down to the surface. Anyways, I thought that was pretty brilliant. Most the cooking tools that I've found from this company to be really clever like that, and I like clever. So I got the old recycled materials French press from Starbucks. About 1 scoop of beans is probably the right amount for a full French press. So just want you to see how well this goes. So the first time I ran a batch with this chopper, what I found was that occasionally, as you strike, occasionally the plunger will stay down, right? So already you can see that there's a pretty fine cutting already. So the chopper stays down occasionally, and I thought, oh, it's probably because I'm cutting such a dry product. But when I looked at the instructions, they had mentioned this as something that could happen while you're cutting certain products, and not to worry. Right there it is. So they say just give it a little lift and keep going, which is true. So the first batch I did, I had more nuts, more coffee beans inside than this time, and the spin action was a little off. It was catching on the pile of beans as it tried to turn. So that's already it's a pretty nice. I don't know. It's going to be a personal preference how fine you cut your beans into, but it seems like when you stop hearing the huge crunchy noises, you're probably done. And I'm not sure if I tried to like chop these into powder, if there'd be a certain point where they got so finely ground that that they wouldn't be useful in the press. Like they'd pass right through the grid. So anyways, So it's kind of hard to show the grain really nicely here, but so in a real short period of time, I got an ideal sized batch with a very nice coarse cut to it, enough that we're going to get really good steeping in a pot. And the what I noticed on the other batch was that I didn't get as much of the icky that floats up to the top in your press. That some people spoon off before they'll press the grains to the bottom, but I didn't have that kind of problem with this method of cutting instead of a grinder. I've got a Braun grinder, really nice one that I used when I'm doing espressos and whatnot, but it's never been right for the French press. I could never get the right consistency that I wanted. So. And very washable too. This tool is very washable. The the pinholes that you store the spoon. I don't know, the spoon's for scooping vegetables out when you chop them. But the storage spot on the top is also a drain hole for liquids that you might have inside from chopping vegetables if you're mashing garlic or onion or something wet. Put these away. Had a lot of coffee today trying my new chopper. Oh, and while I'm talking about this, another just happens to be an OXO product, but I tried a cheese grinder or shredder. I don't know what the right term is, and I made a batch of coffee with this also. Now it cleaned up very nicely, despite coffee being coffee, but this, because it's got the fine size hole for cheese shredding, it made a smaller grit in here, but didn't seem to be any worse as far as the silts, the bitters that'll rise to the top of the water. So both the nut chopper and the cheese grater had a significantly less amount of the bitter silts that would be trapped in your final product. Guess I could have had less water in that teapot. Yeah, so it's a pretty nice, tight little package there. And why am I doing this video at all? You can buy this, or you can buy a Starbucks hand grinder for $50. Well, this happened to retail for $11 in my grocery store. So save yourself a bunch of money and get a high enough quality out of your product that you can French press delicious without the headache of the dusty grind. Now, I don't know if there's a most ideal way to do your French press, but some physicists I've heard from like to wet the beans in a kind of a very dense area in the bottom. And then about 30 seconds later, they fill the rest of the carafe, or in this case, a beaker. Seems like a beaker, don't it? So, I don't know, trust science. I'm probably overfilling it a little bit, but that's the kind of hairpin I am. Okay, so you see how you get a lot less of that bitter foam at the top with this method of cutting the bean compared to when you use an ordinary grinder or try to use regular ground coffee. So usually you have that funny looking foam at the top that you got to spoon off, and I found that I didn't have to do that with this method of cutting the bean. So no more worrying about spooning it away. Just shove the press down after it steeps. I don't know if this is going to record well, but you can see as they saturate with the hot water, they're precipitating down from the top. It's kind of meta, looking at a phone looking at itself. Something you can't really get on the video is the aroma. It's a very nice scent. That little motion just precipitated a ton of grind from the top where it was floating. I love my tempests and teapots. So, so after a 5 minute steep, you can see there's almost no grind left at the top. A lot of precipitating out from being saturated with the hot water, but almost none of that bitter foam that you normally see at the top. Uh, I don't know. It's maybe I'm making too big a deal of having to spoon that out of ordinary coffee grinds, but it's just one of those factors. So in goes the press, and out comes the coffee. I like it. Put it in wrong. All right. Google's going to ask me if I want the cameras. Ask me if I want the camera work fixed because I'm such a shaky hand here. I was out rototilling in the garden, so my hands are tired and shaky. Not that they're steady when I'm not, but it's a nice looking cup of coffee there. Okay, so almost no silt with that OXO grinder. It's a very, very viable product. Go get yourself one.